you ever been chasing a deer for several years only for it to be shot by the neighbor? Because same. Now here's the real question. Have you ever chased a 180-inch deer for years and he gets shot by the neighbor, and then you harvested a 170-inch deer the following week? Well, that was me. And to say I had the deer gods watching over me is an understatement. And for you to truly understand the absolute wild hunts I had over the course of 1 month, I'll have to roll back the clock and show you exactly how all this played out. Let's begin. So here we are, 2017. I am pulling cameras like I pull on your mama's panties, trying to find some good velvet action. I had two absolute stud 3.5-year-old deer. The first being Racky Deez and the other being called Titus. I actually never saw Racky Deez in person this year, but I did lay eyes on Titus during the late season and knew this deer was gonna be special. After I harvested my largest buck ever, I knew the following season I had some serious boners to chase as well. After shooting Starboy, I had very high expectations heading into the 2018 season, and once I started getting those testosterone-inducing summer picks, I knew it was going to be a great year. Titus had blown up. He threw on all kinds of character that was honestly one of the coolest deer I had ever seen. And Racky Deez also put on some size. Both were on my hit list to get sacked in the old nuts, and so all I had to do was wait for season to start. This was my first time laying eyes on Racky Deez, and ironically enough, he was the first deer I saw this year on my first hunt. It was very early in bow season, and he had me pitching a tent in my ladder stand. So here we go. Rifle season is upon us, and I truly had my sights set on Racky Deez. He was showing up so consistent on camera and in person. I thought for sure he was going to be in my crosshairs. False. I ended up seeing his brother Titus the first night in the stand. Looking back, I probably could have squeezed off this shot and made Titus go 99. You know, oh well. It ended up working out because I shot a buck I call high 10 and then went to dakhunts.com to get the hottest hunting merch in the game. Use code CHASINGTAIL for 10% off. After this hunt, I never saw Titus again, and Racky Deez showed up after rifle season with his entire right side being broken off. Both of them made it through once again. You guys already know what is about to go down. Daddy Diesel is going to go fire up his trail cams, pop a chubby, and see what bucks he's going to be chasing after this year. And boy, oh boy, was I shocked when I saw Racky Deez. He blew up. As soon as I saw him on camera, I dropped every deer I had in mind and only focused on him. Funny enough, I specifically remember telling my dad that if I saw Titus and Racky was still alive, I'm gonna pass him, and that line really came to hit me in the balls. Season finally rolled around, and I was getting Racky Deez and Titus on camera pretty consistently, so I went to my best spot hoping to catch up on Racky Deez. The night started off super windy, but the mojo was high. I actually have no idea if these ozone things work, but used it anyway to be cool. The does were making their way out into the cut corn this night, and that means the bucks would hopefully not be too far behind. As the night went on, the boners kept getting bigger, and more deer started to come out into the field.
Just walked that gap straight through. Dude, he is living and dying in the sanctuary, isn't he?
After Racky left and the night was literally becoming pitch black, I saw movement behind the fence line and knew this was no small deer. And as soon as I saw this deer in the binos, I knew exactly who it was. My brother from another mother, Titus. The week after seeing Racky and Titus, I decided I should move a stand in the corner in which Racky always went through. The game plan was that if he did the same thing he always did, I would have a 20-yard shot, my life would be easy, and I'd go home with a big old bone. Well, this hunt definitely did not go as planned.
I don't look bad, do I?
The answer is yes, I could have definitely looked better, and you know what? I made it worse by then throwing this beanie on.
It's a tad windy, and when I say we're hunting a marginal wind, I mean we're hunting the worst wind we possibly can. But it's November 2nd, and I feel like to kill this deer, I'm gonna have to risk it all. And tonight, I'm risking it. Fingers crossed. This deer makes the same exact movement, or at least is in some sort of pattern where we see him, It's about to get gnarly.
Once again, the mojo felt good. Probably one of the most anticipated hunts I've ever been on. I knew I was going to see Racky, and I had a high chance of shooting him. So once the doe poon started coming out, I knew I just had to sit tight, pray to the deer gods, and hope for the best. Any guesses on where Racky Deez was walking? You nailed it. The blind that I hunted 2 weeks ago. He walked 10 yards in front of it and then stood by it for literally 10 minutes. After grunting, me and him had a stare down for about 3 minutes before he started to make his way over towards me. But then he saw exactly what every buck in November is distracted by, that doe Badussi, and then he headed the other way. The night finished and I was running on such a high knowing how patterned I had Racky Deez. However, it was youth season that weekend and so the guns were out. And when the guns are out, no deer is safe. The last time I saw Racky, he was running into the sanctuary. Well, apparently he found some very hot doe poon and decided to run 2 miles away from me and get dropped by a very lucky youth hunter. I got a call from the farmer that night and he asked if I knew the deer. And as my nuts were in my stomach, I had to give him a heartbroken yes and act like I didn't care. But guys, when I say I was heartbroken, I was heartbroken. No woman could break my heart more than Racky Deez did. But just like anything bad that happens, you gotta move on. So that next week I came in hunting with low hope, no motivation, and bad mojo, praying that I could summon a miracle. And the deer gods answered. Well, it turns out that I ended up going out to hunt on the best night of the year. A high pressure system, cold temps, and clear skies. After sliding into the blind like I do your mother, deer were moving, and even saw the old cougar herself before Titus entered the field. After walking towards the blind just out of bow distance, Titus moved on to chew on some corn and hang out with his does one last time. And as you see here, this is what you get for chasing the girls. Titus was coming in once again, this time working his way a tad too close to Rarest Deez. And just like that, ladies and gentlemen, the mojo was back. I 10-ring Titus and sent him to the Shadow Realm. After the month of hunting I had and the loss of Racky Deez, it is safe to say this is my favorite buck I have ever shot.
What just happened? Look at that, all people. The coyotes, they smell blood.
Walking up on Titus was definitely a moment I will never forget. No boner shrinkage here, guys. Titus was big, way bigger than what me and my pals thought. His tine length was second to none.
Tell me how tall that is.
13-inch G3s and 10-inch G4s tend to make a deer score go up really fast. Titus will probably forever be my favorite buck, not only from his pure size, the great footage, and easy recovery, but because of how the entire season played out, made this hunt very special. This is your reminder that hunting is hard, very hard, but when the mojo is low, keep hunting and keep chasing that tail, baby. In the end, it will pay off.